You have sort of a core set of projections for a company, and you'll, from there, you'll actually be working, through and doing a lot of different things with those projections. So you may do a merger model from those projections, and the projections of another company. You may do an LBO model. You may, use some of the ratios present here to do a comparable multiples model, those kinds of things. But the idea is that you're working off those same core set of assumptions about how the company is going to grow. So, so we took these directly off the income statement. And, again, these little lines under each item are basically serve the same purpose that these ratios down here serve, down below the income statement. It's just to give you a feel of how things are trending, and also you can, you may be able to utilize those numbers to give you guidance on future projections. So a lot of times it's just useful to calculate the growth rate of a particular item, or calculate that item as a percentage of some other item. Items that you feel are going to be related, like sales and EBITDA or whatever. So a company's probably doing better and better if its EBITDA margins are expanding. So that means that, as the sales grow, the company's actually doing even better from a margin standpoint as the company grows larger. So if a company keeps 10% margins and grows the top line at 10%, then that's fine, because that means that the EBITDA will keep growing. But it's even better if, as the top line grows at 10%, the EBITDA line is growing at 12 or 13%, and so on and so on. It means they're doing even more and more as they grow. So, in any case, as I said, net sales drawn directly DCF. Net sales drawn directly from the income statement, and we're going to continue that, basically through our forward estimates. Now, for the sake of our DCF, we want to take it out even further, right? So when we get to 2007, basically what we did was we took, if we were to audit this one, we'll find that under our assumptions, we sort of assume that over a long term, the growth rate would be 6%, right? In terms of operating leverage, meaning that the extra sort of bump you get for each extra dollar of revenue is actually -1. So in some companies it would be, better. But here we chose -1 from your perspective arbitrarily, right? And so what we find here is that going into the long-term estimates, what we did, we basically just took the previous year's revenues, which we projected out prior to, and grew them by, by a growth rate that we selected. And this is against the percentage growth rate. EBITDA again, we can take this directly from the income statement up through our forward estimates. For the growth rate, which is just taking the year we're on, subtracting off the previous year, dividing it by the previous year. Is that clear enough for calculating the growth rate? So you just say, last year was and then the EBITDA margins are just calculated as a percentage of sales straight across the board. Again, operating profit, taken directly from the income statement. And again, we're just working with a selected growth rate. Tax rate, taking directly out of the income statement. These were actual. These were projected. Straight line from just the last year. And so we straight line it out in the projection.
So the top part is your input. And then the bottom is, do you also input, or is it a calculation?
Is a calculation. So on this is all drawn from something else. Yeah, so, in a way, it's all some sort of formula. Even if you're just saying, equals income statement D7 and dragging it across. You see what I'm saying? And when you looked at this, the part that would have been empty, in theory would have been the long-term forward estimates, because we haven't done those yet. The rest would have been information that we have already somewhere else, and then we're just doing little calculations on them to get a feel for how we should project out the rest.
Yeah, so basically in this table we're giving you the assumptions since yesterday with Matt. We worked on the income statement, cash flow, balance sheet. So basically we left those hard-coded because you guys worked through those yesterday, so rather redo it again, we're making those assumptions that those are there. Now we're going to walk through the LBO part. So all you're doing is taking what you've done yesterday, which is drawing up financial statements, taking the information that you now have, looking back at it, and now transferring those over into what you would do for the LBO.
Okay. Actually, what I was asking was, it's separated into like with assumptions and calculations. So the pink portions are
Everything. Okay, I'm sorry.
right.
Everything in blue
Right.
is something that you just sort of enter. So that's the way to look at that as, sort of,
The input.
yeah, it's not a formula.
Okay.
Most of the things in black are some sort of formula.
Okay.
In blue, it's just an input.
Okay. So the blue is the input, and then
Yes.
the black is derived.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yes, exactly. So long-term sales growth, arbitrarily 6%. And when I say arbitrarily, obviously in your real practice, you'll develop that based on analyst conversations, prior conversations with management, all these kinds of things. But for our purposes, random. If I grew this at 10%, then our long-term estimates change. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So
Okay, I get you now.
yeah. Sorry.